I'm not gonna make it. You're gonna have to go on without me.
The Truman Show became a real sensation in its time.
No way, mister. You're going to the top of this mountain. Broken legs and all.
This film received rave reviews, and Jim Carrey was awarded a Golden Globe. What is so special about The Truman Show? Why do people consider it genius?
You're crazy, you know that?
How does this story reflect the falsity of reality TV and the extent of the media's influence on society?
My life is The Truman Show.
And why didn't Jim Carrey win an Oscar for it?
Yeah, tell me something I don't know. All right, promise me one thing, though.
You're on the About Movies channel, and today we're going to tell you what The Truman Show is really about.
If I die before I reach the summit, you'll use me as an alternative source of food. Ew, gross.
We'll also analyze frame by frame what techniques the filmmakers used to show the difference between reality and the lie in which the main character was forced to live.
It's all true. It's all real. Nothing here is fake. Nothing you see on this show is fake. It's merely controlled.
Click on the subscribe button and bell to find out the whole truth and all secrets about your favorite movies and actors. Subscribe and let's start.
Eat me, damn it. That's an order. Maybe just your love handles. I have love handles. Yeah. Little ones.
Truman, you're gonna be late.
Okay.
The Truman Show was released in 1998, a year before we saw The Matrix, and the same year Pleasantville by Gary Ross and Dark City by Alexander Proyas was released. What do these four films have in common? All of them question the reality of the world in which a hero lives. We may even say that The Truman Show does it in the most radical way, both from a philosophical and artistic point of view. Let's start with the plot. The main character is Truman Burbank. He lives the life of an ordinary American. He works for an insurance agency and is married to a nurse. He has his own house, lawn, and friendly neighbors.
Good morning!
Morning. Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Screenwriter Andrew Niccol and director Peter Weir had made it clear from the start that there is something wrong in his life. Even the opening credits for the movie are the opening credits for the TV show of the same name inside the movie.
For me, there is no difference between a private life and a public life. My life is The Truman Show.
And it's clear to us from the beginning that Truman is the only person who doesn't know the truth. And the truth is that he's the hero of a 24-hour reality show that the whole world watches. People around are actors, and the city where he lives is the one big film set. It's almost based on Shakespeare. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. Well, except for one. Truman turns out to be likened to Hamlet. Hamlet spoke about the world as a theater and accused others of being false and trying to play on him. Truman doesn't play, but lives because he doesn't know that he's covered with a dome. Truman Burbank plays the role of himself.
It isn't always Shakespeare, but it's genuine. It's a life.
And even the sky above the hero's head is a decoration. It triggers a series of events leading to insight. The word Sirius is written on the soffit. The viewer can guess that at night, this searchlight serves as one of the luminaries of the starry sky above Truman's head. A fallen star as the beginning of a new life. It is so beautiful, the interpreter might think. From this moment, the story tells us about how the hero suspects a conspiracy around him, and reality tries to calm him down.
Here's a news flash just then. An aircraft in trouble began shedding parts as it flew over Sea Haven just a few moments ago. Wow, luckily no one was hurt.
The plot level of the story about the escape from the artificial paradise is clear, but what is more interesting is how its hero is shown. It's clear that the people around him behave like actors on the set, sometimes good, sometimes not very good. But how does the main hero behave himself? As we were told, he is the only genuine person.
There's the dented beetle! Yes! Woo!
One could decide that the buffoon Jim Carrey simply can't play in a different way. That's why he grimaces and speaks in lines from cheap sitcoms. However, as the plot develops, the character's behavior and mannerisms change. Why then does he behave most televisionally when he doesn't yet suspect that he lives on television? The answer should be sought not so much in cinema studies as in psychology. Truman not only lives inside the show, he was born and grown there, just like how Mowgli grew up among wolves and behaved like a wolf. The same way Carrey's hero behaves like a TV product. This is because he was born inside of a TV product. People copy the behavior of those around them, and Truman grew up copying the TV cliches he was born with.
Look, Truman, happiest day of our lives.
This is part of the social criticism embedded in the film. The consumer of mass culture reproduces it himself. After watching Friends and other sitcoms, we copy the behavior of our favorite characters, don't we? As director Peter Weir says, the hero is surrounded by actors from birth. All of them not only play roles but strive to please him, gain a foothold around him, become part of his world, and thus extend their contracts. And this has influenced the way the character and mannerisms of Truman Burbank were formed.
How can I help?
I would like to book a flight to Fiji.
When would you like to leave?
Today.
Therefore, the acting of Carrey turns out to be absolutely accurate. The more he is convinced that he was inside the TV show, the less he is grimacing. Many consider this role to be one of Jim Carrey's best performances and think Jim deserved an Oscar for it. Did you like Jim's acting in this movie? Be sure to share your opinion about Jim and the film itself in the comments. An ideal acting game is also built into the visual imagery that surrounds the hero. It was made by Peter Weir and the artist of the picture, Dennis Gassner. They didn't even have to build the scenery of the decorative town of Sea Haven for the movie. The real Seaside in Florida became the ready set for the story. There is no better place for a studio utopia. Seaside was built in the 80s of the 20th century according to the precepts of New Urbanism, which is such an urban planning concept that revives the ideal of a small, cozy, mostly pedestrian town. Filming a dystopia in the setting of a real-world utopia is beautiful.
It's a lot of world for one man, Truman.
Visually idyllic correctness, accuracy, good looks echoes other films that try to ponder about an ideal life. At the very beginning, we mentioned Pleasantville by Gary Ross, which came out in the same year as The Truman Show. In this movie, the hero of Pleasantville, played by Tobey Maguire, watches a television show from the 1950s about the ideal town of the same name. This title encodes something that should be extremely pleasant, and in the end, the character of the film is inside the television series. An amazing similarity of ideas and images. Well, have a look at the beginning of Tim Burton's Edward Scissorhands. Again, on the screen is an idyllic, candy-colored paradise. This paradise is the America of post-war utopia. This is the consumer society hailed in the sitcoms of the 50s. Burton, Roth, and Peter Weir appeal to this ideal world. And in all these cases, the utopia turns into something you want to escape from, like from the dark city controlled by alien wanderers in the film of the same name by Alex Proyas. It is also difficult to get out of it, but what is even more surprising, its borders also lies outside the door. Remember these shots to be surprised by another non-random coincidence. And although The Truman Show is not perceived as a fantasy film, its setting is a fantasy world of a conditional future, where the laws of the state allow the corporation to own the rights to the child, and technological progress allows you to build television sets with a piece of the ocean and controlled weather. But is the conflict between the artificial and the real so unambiguous? Let's take a closer look at the cinematography by Peter Bizio. From the very beginning of the film, frames are divided into two types. The first is the usual conventional, unobtrusive, general, medium, and close-up shots that don't indicate their role in any way, as in any other movie. The second type is, let's call it shooting with hidden cameras. From the very beginning, long before the events were explained to us in detail, we aren't trying to guess, but we see with our own eyes that Truman Burbank's life is always under surveillance wherever he is. Many of these shots are vignetted around the edges, and it's tempting to think that the footage shot by hidden cameras is what viewers of the Truman TV show see, while ordinary cinema footage of the first type is what we, the viewers of the film, itself see. Moreover, this manner of shooting is often called the camera lens point of view. But it would be a mistake to decide so. Look at this scene. There is also a hidden camera watching the hero and an allegedly objective camera. It can be mistaken for our or Truman's point of view, but in reality, the viewers of the TV show see both the first and second types of frames. After all, it is to them that product placement is addressed.
You know, we really ought to throw out that mower. Get one of those new elk rotaries.
Have you noticed how commercially the camera zooms in on Meryl when she talks about the new lawnmower? This becomes even more obvious, for example, here. Pay attention to the same technique.
Look what I got free at the checkout. It's a chef's pal. It's a dicer, grater, peeler, all in one. Never needs sharpening, dishwasher safe.
Wow. That's amazing.
In its purest form, shop on the couch. Indeed, the reality show with Truman is on the air around the clock and is not interrupted by advertising slots, while product placement may be less intrusive for the viewer, but not for Truman.
How's your lovely wife? Good, good. How about yours?
Well, so far, all the points of view shown turn out to be different parts of the same TV product, but maybe there are some shots in the film that the viewers of this program should not have seen. Yes, and also almost at the beginning of the movie. Let's go back to the fall of the star. Unlike other spontaneous moments, the fall of the lighting device from the dome of the film pavilion could not be captured by the TV camera because it was not provided for in the TV program. Thus, this is the first truly objective shot in the film. Further, Truman is already the eyes of the cameras and the viewers of the TV show. But now, he raises his eyes to the sky, and again, we can think that we see him from some external, in relation to the film, point of view. Change of plan. We see a street lamp through Truman's eyes, and this lamp may contain one of the thousands of TV cameras in the Sea Haven town. But this time, Truman's subjective point of view may be genuine, no matter how crafty this word is in the context of the film. Looking into the starless sky above, at this moment, Truman questions the usual order imposed on him, doubts the reality of his world. There is a more obvious example of this impossibility of hidden filming in the reality of the world inside the film. Confused, frustrated, Truman comes to the beach. We see it from the sea, and it's hard to imagine that there could be a camera that the hero doesn't see. Moreover, the change in zoom announces the film's invisible, as opposed to hidden, objective camera. After all, the cameras would have been either changing the angle or zooming in. And at this point, it seems like we could calm down deciding that there are two types of frames: the frames in the film that the viewers of the TV show see, and the frames that are seen by only viewers of the film itself. However, on the same beach in one of the flashbacks, we witness a kiss. The camera has nowhere to hide because we have seen this beach and it is empty. But then, how is it possible? The green effect of night vision. The frame within the frame? The memory is impossibly included in the reality of the TV show. Now, this is not just a flashback, but a cut made by editors. And the deliberateness of this inclusion eliminates the director's mistake. Weir does this for a reason. He does it on the new level, blurring the lines between the objective reality of the film and the fake reality of the show within the film. He will repeat this trick, and in the final, when the hero is ready to leave the site, heaven will speak in a completely biblical way. That is the creator of the show, Christof. Here, we see Truman from the so-called God's point of view, but in the reality of the film, it must be a very powerful camera so that the hero would not see it, although he would suspect it. And yet, we see Truman in the same way on the movie screen and Christof on his monitor. His cameras are not just hidden all over the city, he is truly ubiquitous. How then to distinguish the reality of his show from the reality that Truman is ready to go into? Rationally, you won't ever be able to do that. This is what this film is about. A person becomes bolder and more desperate to make a decisive step towards his own choice.
In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Yeah.
As we said, Jim Carrey received a lot of praise for this role and deservedly won a Golden Globe. He was also nominated for an Oscar, but unfortunately, Carrey faced stiff competition. The nominees that year were Tom Hanks for his role in Saving Private Ryan, Ian McKellen in Gods and Monsters, Nick Nolte in Affliction, Edward Norton for American History X, and Roberto Benigni for his performance in Life is Beautiful. In the end, Benigni took the award, and Carrey didn't even get a nomination. It should be noted that in his entire career, Carrey has never been nominated for an Oscar, which is very sad because he has a lot of worthy films. The Truman Show was one of those films where Carrey wanted to show himself as a serious dramatic actor. Later, he made such an attempt again, but slightly overdid it with the preparation for the role. In order to play the famous comedian Andy Kaufman, he got into his character too much, so much so that the members of the film crew began to suffer. But you will know this story in detail if you click on this icon on your screen. In this video, we talked about the sacrifices and crazy deeds that some actors go to for their roles, including Jim Carrey. Follow the link and watch. That's all for today. Don't forget to like this video. This was About Movies. See you very soon. Bye-bye.